Welcome back, everybody, to the Modern Landing Page Design tutorial series. In this series, we are taking a landing page for a fictional website, for a fictional business, and we're going to be creating a landing page based on their services. So, in the previous parts, we have completed the hero section. Not actually completed, we have made the hero sections, like give it the regular content, like a header, subheader, call to actions. But we have spoken in the previous parts how we are creating this website for a fictional service provider. So that means we don't have the real images, we don't have an explainer video, nothing like that. So we have to be creative. So how are we going to handle it? So the easiest way would be to go and find stock images and just put them in your website, right? But that what make designs feel like outdated, boring, unprofessional, and kills our minimalistic aspect. So what are we going to be doing instead is we're going to be getting creative and creating accents for our hero section that will describe both the service and while looking good. So let's just delete this placeholder. Let's just put this header up just to make it easier to work here. So in this service is a freelance clients finder. So here clients will come to the website looking for a freelancer, right? So in most freelance websites, what they do is they provide images for their freelancers and write something about them. That makes it easier for the client to trust in the product and believe that there is a professional talent on the platform. So we're going to be doing that exactly. So here we're going to be first having an image, okay? So let's say that this is an image of a freelancer. Let's rename this layer or square image, okay? So now we take this image. We need a name. So let's just say freelancer name. It's a placeholder again. So now let's make this a bit bigger. What's it? 24, let's try 24. Let's make it semi-bold, maybe 32. 24, I think. Works fine. We'll actually make this smaller too. Give it some corner radius. Uh, yeah, okay. Let's just make it a bit smaller. We have here, we have it 24 pixels. Now let's give it a review or a description. So let's just say lorem ipsum. It's just some lorem ipsum text. It's just a placeholder. It doesn't have any meaning. So yeah, let's just put it here. Let's make it a bit smaller, 14 pixels. Maybe bigger, 16 pixels. Okay, great. So again, let's make it a bit shorter, and we're going to be given a maximum, like maximum gap between the two relative to this image. So let's actually make the image pretty small. And here, the freelancer's name. Here, the description, and let's give it actually a rating. So we can say maybe 10 out of 10 rating, something like that. Let's just now let's make this less contrasty by providing, we actually have, right, a color, uh, which we've been using, which is gray 600 for low contrast text. Let's make it 14 pixels and position it here. So now let's group them. Okay, first let's group these two, apixels or apixels. Okay, apixel gap. So here let's group them and auto Uh, okay, so let's actually rename this. Rename this uh, info. Rename this. Uh, let's actually rename this info and rename this description. Okay, now let's just select this, group this here, and we're gonna be calling this review. Okay, so far so good. Let's just make this 16 pixel gap, maybe a bit bigger, 18 pixels, looks fine. Again, these numbers, 18 pixels, 16 pixels, you find those numbers with experience. By creating more, you find this uh, to be, you'll get an eye for stuff, okay? You'll be able to look at your content and say, this works and this doesn't. Okay, great. So let's continue. I would like to give this a fill. Let's make it white. Let's actually change okay. Uh, After that, let's actually give it a stroke. And again, the borders are gray 800. We've been doing this consistently, so consistency is key. Okay, so 12 pixel rounded corners. So again, we're gonna give it a padding of 12 pixel maybe by 12 pixel, maybe make it a bit bigger, 16 maybe. Let's see. Does 16 work? 16 looks good. Okay, so again, I would like to now introduce you to a concept called uh, layered border radiuses. Okay, so I'll just sorry. So when you have a border radius inside of a border radius here, as we have, you want the outer border radius to be larger. Okay, you want this to be smaller. So here we have it 8, and here we have it 12. And the reason for that is as size increases, border radiuses tend to become less noticeable. So if we have like a large square here and a smaller square here, if we apply 16 pixels to both of them, they both have the same border radius, but it is much more noticeable here. This is almost a circle. While this, you can see that there is a border radius, but it's not as noticeable. So as size increases, border radiuses tend to become less visible. So as the size of our square of or our frame increase, we have to give it larger border radius. Okay, so this will be uh, our review. So let's rename it. Okay, we already named it review. So next, let's just remove this, and instead we're gonna be inputting an image. So how are we gonna find good images? So finding good assets is a hard thing in UI UX design. So you can just go to plugins in Figma, click Manage Plugins, and type Unsplash. Okay, so Unsplash is one of the most popular Figma plugins. It's an incredible plugin that is connected with the Unsplash website to give you access to all the images there. So it's very professional. It has incredible images, very professional looking. So we're just gonna load Unsplash here uh, into our Figma file. If you haven't, if this is the first time you are running Unsplash, it might take some time, but let's just wait for it to load. Mm, okay, let's try that one more time. Unsplash. Just click run. It's taking longer than usual. Okay, so now Unsplash has loaded. So what we want to do is we want to select the image here. Okay, so let's actually search for a person. Instead of searching for a person though, it tends to work better if you search for a man or woman. Be more specific. So for example, let's just search for a woman. Okay, so what we are looking for is a professional looking close-up headshot of a woman. Okay, so actually this image here, this image works fine. I think it has some watermarks on it. Uh, but just for explanation, it's just for explanation. So let's just use it. This is not commercial, by the way. So since this is just for tutorial, it's not commercial. We can use it using its watermark. So okay, so it's loaded. Here we have the image. What we want to do is not use the image straight away. The reason for that is that here you can see our website is following one pattern from the start to the end. It's monochromatic. It's black and white. So we have talked about design consistency, where you want your design to be the same all over. So the principles you follow in the hero section should be followed in the about section, should be followed in the footer. So all over your design should be the same. So you can change this to black and white. Let's just desaturate it. Okay, just click on the image, go to saturation and lower it to the lowest point. Now our image is desaturated and it works great with our website. So now this is our review. Okay, so what we can do is we can just cut this review and we can create a new page called components. Let's drag out a large frame and let's just say main. Let's just paste the reviews here. Let's give it a background. Okay, so it already has a background. Great, everything's working great here. So now we just want to create a component out of the review. So let's just copy the component, paste it. So this is not actually a Figma course, okay? If you want a Figma course, I'll be happy to provide it. Just comment it down below. But I will assume you know how to create components, why we create components, and stuff like that. So do we have? Yeah, okay, great. Now we want to just duplicate the component, this review, and we just want to change the images and provide it. Okay, let's just group them and say review, auto align it. Let's go 24 pixel gap. Uh, okay, we can now put it here. It might be like a carousel where it is going from left to right. So I'm just going to duplicate once more and I'm just going to change the image. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to go to plugins and splash again, and I'm going to change this. Let's now search for a man. Okay, let's change it to this image. And now you can see the black and white filter applies directly on the image. So let's just look for one more. Let's actually use this. Okay, so we can use these three. Now we need to position them well in the design so that the design feels consistent and the layout is not like cluttered or with more empty space than we needed. So actually let's just select them, ungroup them, okay? And let's actually delete the last one since we're not going to be using it. Now we have these three. So what is the best way in terms of our design to lay them out so that our design feels so our assets feel like the same with the design and it works. So right away, there are two ways we can do that. Either we can just put them side by side here, side by side, or there's another way in which we just select this and put this, align it to the left, and we can just align these here from top to bottom. Okay, so we have two options. Okay, So I like this option more because it allows us this space to add some more content. For example, here we can be adding like sponsors or not sponsors, trusted by like affiliates, the logos you see on the website. So we can add that. Uh, Another thing we can do is just maybe we can scatter these, which gives it like an interesting feel. Okay, we can maybe push this here. That's also an idea. So in design, you have to duplicate your layers and just experiment. Okay, so this is, let's just copy it here and put this here. Okay, so another thing we can do is we can, okay, let's just delete this. So it's either here or let's actually change it up here. So we can maybe put this here, and here, here. Okay, this is an interesting idea too, where we center align this instead of here. Uh, Actually, this gives me an idea. It gives me an incredible idea. We can actually change the white background into a blur. Okay, how do we do that? It's very simple. We change it to white and we give it 1%, only 1%. Then we go to effects. We go select background blur and give it some number like maybe 64. Now when we go back, here you can see a certain blur. So maybe 64 is not the best number. Let's just maybe decrease it. Okay, yeah, 24, 24. Okay, maybe a bit bigger. Sorry, 32. And okay, let's just go back to here and we can get 32. Now it should be applied everywhere on the design. So we can also go here and you can just reset changes, all changes. Actually, we don't want that. Okay, let's just let it be like this. So now, if we get it close, there's a blur. Okay, so that's like we want. Uh, so you can see if we do like this, it covers some content. So maybe that's not the best, but we can just position it. Yeah, we can do something like this. We can position it here. Maybe center this. Okay. We can now group these and call it reviews. Now, it's an interesting field. It's definitely not just for beginners. I would recommend, right, you stick to the principles. So let's just delete this one since we have decided on this. Now, how are we going to handle the content being hidden here? So that we do that with animation and interaction. So maybe when they hover over it, this becomes on the top. So we have interesting ideas for animations too. So let's just center it here, center this one, push this back. So let's just group these and actually say hero. So this is the full hero, right? And if I say main, since that's the content. And 64 gap, everything looks great here. Let's just push it down, 96. And this is our hero section. And it's an interesting hero section. And what we learned here is that we don't need assets, like we don't need videos or snapshots. We can be creative and create an interesting design. So thanks for watching. Uh, I really hope you're enjoying the series. Uh, I'll try to upload more regularly. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. Yeah, till next time. Goodbye.